Are book darts the best thing to ever happen to books? Yes, they are. Hello again. I'm going to talk about why book darts are the best thing to ever happen to books and why I love them so. And to do that, I want to take a trip down memory lane. Sometime maybe 6 or 7, 8 years ago, I don't remember exactly when I had first started using the Book of Common Prayer, I had a coworker who was a outspoken atheist, but a book lover, and had discovered this new product and wanted to share with me how great these things are. And of course, they were book darts, and she gave me one, and I promptly put it in my Book of Common Prayer, where it remains to this day. And I just bumped the camera. That was my very first book dart, and I have it here marking the litany in my Book of Common Prayer, because my Book of Common Prayer came with 2 ribbons. I added 2 more, which is about all I could fit on the spine here of this Common Prayer book. Sorry, the lighting is horrible. But even 4 ribbons is just not enough for the Book of Common Prayer. So book darts came in handy, and very soon after using that very first one, I bought my own 10. And first of all, things that come in 10s are way better than things that don't come in 10s. That's the first reason that book darts are the best thing to happen to books. If you have no experience with book darts, which would surprise me, they are very slender metal markers to be used in your book. They slide onto a page. There's a very small, slightly raised lip that allows you to slide it over the page, but it lays almost perfectly flat. So better than a bookmark in a number of ways that we'll go over now. Unlike a bookmark, book darts are permanent, or as permanent as you want them to be. So they're very much like pencil marks in my estimation. You put them in your book, and they will stay there indefinitely until you decide to remove them. So here we have my 1662 Common Prayer book. I've placed book darts in multiple places, pages that I want to return to over and over again as part of my normal daily morning and evening prayer. Did not have enough ribbons, even though I added ribbons to this book as well. So I've used bookmarks, and they will remain clipped to the page for as long as I want them to be there, but can also be easily removed. Another way that book darts are superior to bookmarks or ribbons is that they mark not just your page, but the place where you left off, which I found to be very helpful. Just today, when I'm recording this, the lectionary reading for morning prayer had me reading Numbers 23. And using the Jerusalem Bible, a little quirk of this Bible that I've mentioned in a previous video, most of the chapter numbers are here in big bold numbers on the side, but some of them, where the chapter break takes place in the middle of what the translators of the Jerusalem Bible feel is a paragraph or a one subject, one section that shouldn't be broken up. Like in this case, which you probably can't see, but chapter 23 starts right here and is difficult to find. So when I prepared to do the morning reading, I stuck my book dart there, and it points directly to where I left off from the previous evening prayer, and I see exactly where I have to begin this morning. Similarly, in the gospel reading for today, This is one of the rare instances in which the chapter is broken up. Usually, the lectionary in that 1662 prayer book has you reading an entire chapter for morning prayer and for evening prayer. In this case, they've broken up the first chapter of Luke because it's a big one. So where I left off, I've marked the exact spot with a book dart. You couldn't do that with a bookmark or a ribbon. Also, book darts work just as well on different thicknesses of paper. This Jerusalem Bible has very thin paper, and it has some type of a coating that's waxy, or I don't know what it is that's different, but the coating on it is different than some Bibles. And on this very thin, waxy paper, the book darts slide on and clip just as well as on any other paper. There's a little bit of a tiny squeak, or almost, well, completely inaudible to you, I'm sure, to tell you that there's a coating on the paper, but it slides on and holds just as well. While on the other end of the spectrum, this book here, 100-year-old Primitive Worship and the Prayer Book, which I'm working my way through, has very thick paper, and you can see it's oxidized. But as I'm working my way through this book, I'm marking various places that I want to return to with book darts, and they slide on here and stay on just fine as well. Interesting little chart that I'll certainly talk about in a future video, probably when I cover this book. You see, I haven't completely given up using bookmarks. These little pencil box panels I use for bookmarks. So while I'm reading through this book, beginning to end, I use a bookmark to mark my place, but different pages I want to return to, I'm using a book dart. Again, not permanent unless I want it to be, and easily move to another position in the book or to another book if I want to do that. Interesting book so far, by the way. More about this one later, I'm sure. And it's not just Bibles and prayer books and antique books and things of that sort that are targets for your book darts. Your average paperback novel, which this is not your average paperback novel, but it is a paperback novel, certainly also a candidate for a book dart that slides just fine on this trade paperback paper and will stay there until I wish to move it. It'll mark my spot precisely. And this book, by the way, also falls in the more about that later. It's one of my favorite novels. But so, speaking of favorite novels, this is probably my favorite novel of all time. Almost certainly my favorite novel of all time, Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace. And another great thing about book darts, yes, you can use them in Bibles and prayer books and antique books and all that I've already said. But if you happen to own a first edition, first printing copy of your favorite book of all time, and we know by looking here on the back at the name William T. Vollmann that is misspelled, we know this is a first edition, first printing of this book, which I bought when the book first came out, and I have read it multiple times and I love it. It's an enormous, thick, dense book in more ways than one. If you are reading this book, you will find out that there are numerous, like 100 pages worth of endnotes in this book. And before I get to the endnotes, note here that the prose is very dense. It goes pages and pages without a paragraph break at times. So having a marking system that points to the exact spot you left off is a good idea. And I'm going to unlock this. You can see there's on this page, a reference to endnote number 204. So in this book, you do a lot of flipping back and forth from the main text of the book to the endnote. And if you do read Infinite Jest, and you probably should. Okay, more on that later, probably in another video. So here we see EndNote 204. It's marking exactly the EndNote, so you can go to where you left off in the EndNotes and then easily return back to the text. Book darts are perfect for reading Infinite Jest. Because again, you don't want to skip the EndNotes. They're kind of important in this book. So if you're reading Infinite Jest, use book darts and don't skip over the EndNotes. They're important. So to sum up, book darts come in a tin. That's a win. They are a little bit on the pricey side. Maybe, I don't remember how much I paid for this, but it was years ago. You can still find them on eBay. I don't know, in the $10 or a little bit under range for a tin of them. I got 125 mixed colors. They're great for marking in your prayer books. They're great for marking in your Bibles. They mark the exact spot you left off at. You can leave them in the books permanently. They won't damage the page, even in your rare and keepsake books. I give them 2 solid thumbs up. So if you're not using book darts, I really have to question whether you're even really a serious reader at this point. So go immediately, get some book darts. You'll thank me later. Thanks for joining me for this review of a must-have product. Maybe you'll join me again here next time.